So if you've been watching my channel, my YouTubes for any length of time, you'll know a few things about me. Number one, I'm a pretty bad drunk. Number two, I like motorcycles and I really like hammocks. And I'm a bit of a fiend about hammocks, and I try to promote them a good bit just because I think they have so many superior advantages to tent camping, especially when it comes to motorcycle camping, that I feel like they should be promoted. And so it just seems like I'm a bit of an evangelist when it comes to hammocks, and I promote them a good bit. It goes back a long time. I was a hammock evangelist when I was a small child, so I have my excuses.
The red hot Lord is here tonight. His name is Jesus. There's only one God. It's in Jesus. Whoa!
Yeah, so given that history of evangelism, I know that I'm probably going to pay a price for this video, but I do want to talk about a few of the problems with tents. Even though I carry a tent on many of my adventures, it's always good to have a backup, and it's always good to have something that's relatively warm and dry and bug-free, and tents are good for that, and I'm not going to lie. But this video I wanted to talk about a few of the downsides of tents since I actually pulled out the tent a couple of times on this last trip. I do want to talk about it, and I do want to make sure that everybody understands why you should look at something else. This tent camping thing, since that's what 99% of people that camp outdoors do, and probably 99%, maybe a little bit less on the motorcycle side. But I just wanted to talk about a few of the downsides while I am sleeping in a tent for the next couple of days. Hopefully, I just patched a leak on the tent. But the big deals to me are, unless you're in a campground, this campsite is not found in nature. These nice slope, grassy spots are not found anywhere outside of a cultured, nice, well-kept campground. There's not even sticks out here. There's a stick right there, but this is not seen in nature. You'll see some pastures every once in a while, but most of the time, if it's grass, the grass is this high. Sure, there's some exceptions, but as a rule, this is not found in nature, and typically you have to pay for campsites like this. I'm lucky enough to have a free campground with hot showers over here tonight, and this is really nice. This is a nice campground. This is I think this is either county or state or something, but yeah, it's normally $10 a night for a camp spot. But that's the first thing. The first thing is these spots like this, sloped where the water will run off, nice and grassy, nice and soft. They're just not, it's almost not found in nature. The next thing, being that I'm old, that was the big motivator to me. Not just having to shop around and try to find that perfect flat spot that doesn't have, I don't have to do construction and grading to be able to throw my to throw my tent down on the ground. Not just that, but I'm old. So getting down on the ground and getting back up off the ground is a pain in the butt. And when it's raining, it's even harder. So now I'm down on my knees, and I've got a bunch of crap thrown out here. Let me get this straightened out first. So tent stakes. Yeah, I carry stakes with the hammock for the rainfly, so you know that's not that much different. But getting up and down off the ground has become a big deal to me. And I got to the point probably a little bit over a decade ago. I got to the point where it just didn't make any sense anymore. Not that it was going to stop me from camping, but it was going to limit me. It was going to limit my motivation. It was going to prevent me from camping as much as I want to do because it's a pain in the butt. And you know, you spend a few days getting up and down off the ground, you start losing your motivation. Believe me, I did it. And it started limiting the amount of time I wanted to spend in the woods. And I didn't spend that much time in bad weather. You know, most of the time I went camping, it was good weather. So just imagine it's storming right now, which it will be soon. And I had to get in here and get in the tent, number one, while it's raining, and all that water that's going to come in here later on when it comes in. That's kind of a big deal. There's another hole right there. It's probably punched by the last time I camped in a big field with big grass. Probably punched a hole. Who knows? There's a bunch of little holes in there. But I mean, once you're in, I don't mind being on the ground, especially if you've got a ground pad. This thing right here is very comfortable. It's almost like being in a regular bed in your house. And you know, this is not an expensive tent. It's cheap, but I don't know that the more expensive tents are gonna make me any happier. I got into a discussion with one guy that said he had a tent that he could enter standing up, and I don't see how he could do that. I mean, he's obviously not my size. He's got to be younger than me, because I couldn't do that. There's no way I could crouch down low enough to get into this tent. I'd have to get down on my knees to get into this tent. And then, you know, getting in without getting the tent wet is another thing. It's just kind of ridiculous. But that's also why I got a 2-man tent instead of a 1-man tent, so I could have room to get this little spot over here wet. It's not pretty, but it's better than it could have been. Main thing, I wanted to come in here and see if my tent was leaking, because that was pretty bizarre. And I'm sitting in my tent this morning and realized that there's a hole in the damn thing. So yeah, I don't want to have a wet. I can escape the tent, but I don't have a backup sleeping bag, and I don't have a bunch of backup gear, warm weather gear. So I've got all my warm weather gear in the dry bag. So it would have to be a river coming down through here for that to actually go away. But yeah, what's funny is I have a memory from my childhood, and my two brothers remember it vividly too. I think it was the first camping trip I can remember. I'm sure we've gone out and sat on the beach and built a fire and caught fish. I don't remember another. In fact, I think there may be some home movies before that. I was probably 2 or 3. But I remember vividly, 5, 6, 7 years old, we had this giant canvas tent. And as far as I know, that was the first time. My dad bought some property out in the woods. And his thing was he was going to be a farmer. Start farming. I don't know. You know, I think it's every man's disillusion at some point in his life. And he took the family out to the property with this big monster canvas tent, and I would say probably, I don't remember anything army about it except it was big and rugged and canvas. So it was big and thick and heavy. Back before they made tents out of nylon, they made them out of canvas, and this thing was a monster. It was probably, it could have easily been a 10-man tent. There's only 5 people in the family, but anyway, big, I want to say aluminum poles, but these things could have been steel. You know, you had to set the frame up, and I think the frame was on the inside of the tent. Anyway, big, huge, heavy tent. We went out to the property, got up the next morning, and it rained for 2 days. So we were stuck inside this tent for 2 days. Finally, we were getting washed away. Water was coming inside the tent. And I guess it's just one of those things, those vivid memories of camping and rain and, you know, that nightmare that will never go away. But it was shortly thereafter that I fell in love with the rain on a trip to Disney World. I think I've told that story before, but anyway, summer rain. I love summer rain. Not a big fan of winter rain. And this is winter. This is November 2nd. So anyway, it appears that if there is any intrusion, it's minor. I see a couple of drips on the screen here. A couple of drips back here maybe. There's one right there. I don't know if you can see that one. A little drip right there. Who knows where that's coming in? It could have been I'm slinging this and a droplet went over there. I don't know. Same for this. But it looks relatively dry, so hopefully I'll have a nice dry, relatively safe abode for the evening. This is one of the things that I rarely do inside a tent, sitting up. Which makes another one of the list of the things. Since I'm not young, I can't sit in the lotus position. Sitting up takes effort, so I'm actually having to strain my abdominal muscles to lean forward over my ancient legs to try to keep from falling backwards. And, you know, I could sit up like this for a while. Just it's not comfortable. Because I'm having to strain to lean forward, because I can't just, it doesn't work anymore. So that's probably one of the big things, and I keep saying it the same way. I'm too old to camp on the ground. Obviously not. I've done it, well, last night, the night before. I wasn't in the tent the night before. I was in a lean-to at Gary's house, but same thing, and I slept just fine. It's just getting up and getting down off the ground. That's the big deal for me. And up until that time, getting into the tent, I was so so obsessed with getting in without getting the inside of the tent wet that that was a big thing. And it wasn't even raining hard when I got in. Just before I got in, as soon as it lightened up, I made the mad dash. But I see relative dryness in here. I don't see any moisture in here. Significant moisture. Everything's cold, feels kind of wet, but it's probably just moisture going through the air. All right. Well, I guess now I'll get some dinner.